Northern Ireland centric or Bangor centric?
Northern Ireland.
Let's do Northern Ireland.
Yes. Going.
Go ahead, just cover it up. Let's pretend we're ordinary.
Yeah, the first place is going to the Giant's Causeway.
Okay.
Which is an area of. I'm trying to describe it. It's a strange rock formation that has a legend of giants.
The legend of Finn McCool, which was hammered. It was hammered into us as children, but I can't quite remember the whole legend.
He was fighting a giant from Scotland.
Yes, he was building a causeway to Scotland, and this is legend has it. And the rocks are, what are they?
Hexagon.
Hexagonal. Like very. It's a very.
Pink Floyd album. Is it Pink Floyd or is it Led Zeppelin?
Not Pink Floyd, I think.
You know when they have that like washed out of the little girl like naked running up the.
Led Zeppelin.
I said Led Zeppelin. Sorry.
I want to say
Terrible,
Basalt.
is that
What it is?
Yeah, it's very unique formation, especially you never see something like that in nature. I think there's very few other places in the world that have anything quite like that, and hence the legend. It's
the Scottish giant came over to try and kill Finn McCool, and came to Finn McCool's house, and Finn McCool pretended to be a baby, and the Scottish giant thought, well, if this is his son, he must be massive, and Finn McCool's mother then fed the Scottish giant a bowl of porridge with rocks in it, saying this is what Finn McCool eats. So the Scottish giant kind of eats it, then breaks all his teeth and thinks, I'm not tough enough to fight this guy, this is what he eats for breakfast. So then he went back to Scotland.
This is like the sort of thing that if we had seen on like Asian TV, we'd be like, it's so mad.
What is
It's
this?
exactly like that. I'm just like,
What are these guys talking about?
it's a story that the Irish are very proud of, but it just paints the Irish as liars. Really.
Cheats. It's in the north coast of Northern Ireland where there's lots of nice beaches as well.
Golf courses.
And
Golf is very big
courses.
in Korea, right?
Lots of good golf courses, and it's also where a lot of Game of Thrones sets are all around that part of the world.
Yeah, it's mostly filmed.
So you can do a tour of all the different places.
Pretty much anything in Game of Thrones that's made to look cold or like green, rather than the hot sort of areas, is all filmed in Northern Ireland usually. Drinking, crying.
Cafe Keel. You can get it was a Monday or a Wednesday. You get a half price wine night. Monday.
It's our local town that we're from doesn't really have nightclubs. It's got one. And it's terrible, and you don't go, but people used to go because on Monday nights it was half price wine, so there'd be lots of teenagers walking around with just a bottle of wine and maybe a straw if you were feeling a bit classier.
It's not the prettiest side of Northern Ireland, but it's definitely something very
special to us.
It's a big part of the culture.
I'd say it's one to avoid. The real recommendations are in Belfast, and they're all in an area called the Cathedral Quarter.
Okay.
One's the Duke of York, which is a lovely old pub.
Yeah.
Which serves
amazing whiskey selection.
Yes.
Incredible whiskey selection. And also, if you're in this part of the town, it's right next to the docks, which is where the Titanic was built. So it's a very historic part of the city. So it's a nice place to go and grab a drink if you're not feeling half price wine night.
And then there's an old bank that's been turned into a hotel called the Merchant Hotel, which does very good cocktails, and it's very nice on Christmas.
Good to stay.
They have a giant, the Grand Room, if you imagine a big old bank from like the 1800s, 1900s, massive ceiling. They'd have a giant Christmas tree at Christmas time. That's really cool.
There's another. You could also go to the Crown.
Oh, what's the oldest?
It's the oldest. It's definitely the oldest pub in Northern Ireland. People might say Ireland.
One of the several hundred oldest pubs in Ireland.
It has like these really old school like booths, almost like church pews, where you shut the door and everything.
You get your own booth.
And it is the most bombed pub in Europe.
Not recently though.
Not recently. It's only by default, because it's opposite the most bombed hotel of Europe, the Europa Hotel. Eating, you've got to have the seafood. We have the most incredible seafood. So the Mourne Seafood Bar.
Yeah, if you're up towards the Giant's Causeway on your way up there from Belfast, there's an amazing place up there. that'll do some
Which one's
pretty
that?
special seafood. I can't remember what it's called.
I know.
As soon as I started telling
something table.
as soon as I started talking about it, I forgot what it was called. But it's
That place in Newcastle.
yeah,
That's
it's in a town called Newcastle. So just go to Newcastle, ask them for some fish, and they'll probably send you there.
There's one called the Mourne Seafood Bar, which is on the way to the Mourne Mountains, which are another good place to go for a nice day out.
Yeah.
A lot of Game of Thrones shot there as well.
A lot of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, the seafood we've got is pretty awesome.